After not leaving China for 32 consecutive months, Xi Jinping made his first international trip to visit Central Asia to attend the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. On September 16th, he skipped the dinner with 11 other heads of state attending the summit and returned to China. That afternoon, a series of fires erupted in Hunan province's capital city, Changsha. A landmark telecom building in the city went up in flames. There seems to be a pattern in which human tragedies, such as fires and explosions, precede the Communist Party's major events announcing power shifts and personnel changes. I can't help but wonder, is the Changsha fire related to the party's upcoming 20th Congress? Hello everyone, welcome. I'm Lei. Welcome to Lei's Real Talk. According to eyewitnesses, the Changsha fire started after 3:30 p.m. in lower levels of the China Telecom building and reached the top of the building in less than 10 minutes. Local residents say thousands of people work in the building, but officials quickly claim no casualties. People heard explosions over a dozen times in the building and saw heavy smoke. Some eyewitnesses said the fire started in the computer server rooms on the lower levels. State media avoided the topic of explosions and attributed the sounds to glass shattering. Others claimed that the building had 35 tons of oil stored in underground tanks in case of power outages. The torched building was built in 2000 and was once the tallest building in Changsha. It houses China Telecom's servers and is a major network access point equipped with a 25-gig optical fiber ChinaNet backbone. Internet users found that the China Telecom Hunan branch had released a request for proposals in July for a 4 million renminbi project to repair the building, citing fire safety issues. Changsha residents told the Epoch Times that China Telecom's landline and cell phone services were disrupted, and passengers were stranded in subways as their cell phones failed to produce the health QR code needed to exit the stations. There's no official explanation about the cause of the fire. What's unusual is that 7 fires broke out in the city almost simultaneously. Other than the China Telecom building, the Annan Logistics Park and the Panjiaping warehouse also erupted in fire. Smaller fires, such as the one in the Happy Bridge neighborhood near Xiangya Hospital, also broke out. Changsha's fires happened on the day Xi Jinping returned from his first international trip, and exactly 1 month before the CCP's 20th Party Congress. I can't help but think of other fires and explosions that took place before the CCP's major events in the past. Less than 3 weeks before the 6th plenary session of the CCP's 19th National Congress last year, 10 explosions and fires broke out across China in less than a week. On October 21st, 2021, an explosion occurred at a hotel in a busy commercial and residential district in Shenyang City in Liaoning Province. The next day, a chemical plant in a high-tech industrial zone in Inner Mongolia exploded in the middle of the night. On October 24th, fire erupted in a residential building in Dalian after an explosion ripped the roof off. A lab at Nanjing University of Aeronautics and Astronautics exploded 3 times, causing a fire. In the early morning of October 25th, an entire street near the north gate of Shandong University of Science and Technology was burned down. On October 26th, explosions and fires broke out in Shandong, Guangxi, and Guangdong provinces. And on October 27th, fire erupted in Tianjin City and Zhongshan City in Guangdong province. We've seen a pattern here. Since Xi Jinping came to power in 2012, explosions and fires have erupted frequently when the CCP's internal factional war intensified or when the CCP experienced power shifts. The deadliest and the most sensational one is the explosion in Tianjin 7 years ago. August 12, 2015 must be a memorable day for Xi Jinping. That morning, the CCP's mouthpiece, The People's Daily, published an editorial celebrating his 1000th day as the regime's party secretary. That evening, at 10:30 p.m., 2 large explosions occurred in the Binhai Development Zone in Tianjin City. Hong Kong media tycoon Jimmy Lai's Apple Daily reported that Xi Jinping called an emergency meeting that night. TNT is often used to describe the power of an explosion. Theoretically, 1 kilogram of TNT can destroy a concrete house. The power of 1 metric ton of TNT is equivalent to a conventional bomb used in World War II. The 2 blasts in Tianjin were so destructive that the investigative report from China's State Council estimated that the 2 explosions were equivalent to 450 metric tons of TNT, or 450 bombs. The explosions happened around the time when the CCP's Beidaihe meetings were wrapping up, and it was 2 weeks before a military parade was to be held in Tiananmen Square that marked the 70th anniversary of China's victory in World War II. There were a lot of rumors about the Beidaihe meeting that year. 1 month before the explosions, the July issue of Hong Kong's On Trend magazine disclosed that the Beidaihe meeting this year is unlikely to take place. Part of the high-profile, highly confidential meetings may be held in Tianjin Binhai Development Area. Wait, this Tianjin Binhai Development Area was where the equivalent of 450 bombs were detonated. So were the explosions targeting the CCP leaders attending the meeting? It's unlikely that CCP leaders would gather at a place they are unfamiliar with, particularly in a new development zone. But why did someone start a rumor to make people think they would? Was it to intentionally link the leaders with something that would happen in the area? The day after the explosions occurred, an overseas Chinese website, Jasmine, published an article titled, "Tianjin Explosion is a Terrorist Attack Against Xi Jinping," under the byline Liu Gang, who claimed that the Tianjin explosions were the product of the CCP's power struggle, a human tragedy created by those who were not in power to threaten, intimidate, and create a crisis for those in power. The goal was to force Xi Jinping to compromise and give in. On August 15, 2015, the Epoch Times reported that, based on its sources in Zhongnanhai, Xi Jinping did not sleep for 2 nights after the Tianjin explosions and was on high alert. Since he came to power in 2012, Xi has been engaged in an ugly power struggle with the Jiang faction, led by the former CCP leader Jiang Zemin, his sons, and former Politburo Standing Committee member Zheng Qinghong. The Epoch Times sources said that Jiang Zemin's faction used the explosions to send 2 messages to Xi Jinping. One, that Jiang wanted to personally appear at the upcoming military parade, and 2, that Xi should stop arresting Jiang's people and abandon his plan to eventually get at Jiang. What's behind the Tianjin explosions is very complex and twisted. I won't focus on that today. Let's look at 2 events leading up to the Tianjin incident to draw some comparisons to the current event. 6 weeks before the Tianjin blast, on June 26, 2015, Xi Jinping presided over a Politburo meeting to prepare for the upcoming 19th Party Congress. The meeting passed a guideline that governed the promotion and demotion of senior leaders. On Xi's confidential list of names for demotion was a Politburo Standing Committee member who belonged to the Jiang faction. He was Zhang Gaoli, who was famous for carrying Jiang on a sedan when Jiang visited a tourist attraction in Zhang's district. According to various Chinese media outlets outside China, Zhang Gaoli had his fingerprints all over the Tianjin explosions. By the way, he's also the man implicated in the sexual assault allegation by Chinese tennis star Peng Shuai. The correlation between the 2015 Tianjin explosions and the recent Changsha fires is that the promotion and demotion guidelines from 2015 were reissued by the Central Office of the CCP Central Commission recently on September 8th, 1 week before the Changsha fires. The document sets out the specific procedures for adjusting cadres unfit to take up current positions. Is the Jiang faction upset about the upcoming personnel changes at the party Congress? 3 weeks before the Tianjin blast, on July 24, 2015, Joban, a confidant of key Jiang faction member Zhou Yongkang, who was the former head of public security, was being investigated for corruption. Can you guess where Zhou Benshun's stronghold is? That's right, Changsha in Hunan province. Zhou was head of public security in Hunan. We can't help but think that the Changsha fires were more than what meets the eyes. 9 days after the Tianjin explosions on August 21, 2015, she removed a boulder with Jiang Zemin's inscription on it from the entrance of the CCP's Central Party School in Beijing. However, 1 week later, Jiang Zemin appeared on the porch of the Tiananmen building at the military parade, together with Xi Jinping and Hu Jintao. Jiang looked victorious. This picture taken at the event best explained how Xi Jinping felt at the time. The Tianjin explosions were a turning point in the CCP's power struggle. Xi Jinping later backed down and compromised to the Jiang faction. Will the Changsha fires have the same effect on him at the 20th Party Congress? We'll find out in a few weeks. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. See you soon.